Like,
So?
if you're not old enough, it's a fun kids movie. If you are old enough, you're probably going to cry and have an existential crisis.
Yeah, I've had a few of those already.
Welcome to The Fourth Act, our entertainment podcast, where every Friday we discuss a topic in TV, movies, video games, and more. My name is Gabe, joined once again with my good friend Misael. And what are we doing today, my friend?
We will be discussing Pixar.
Pixar is the topic today, but specifically, as of this new year, January, February, March, they're actually re-releasing three movies that came out during the pandemic era that never got a real theatrical release. I think some of them had like limited releases, but let me just list the dates for these new ones. First one will be Soul, coming out January 12th. So today, as of this recording, last week as of the time that you guys are viewing this. Next month, February 9th, Turning Red is coming out. And March 22nd, we're going to be seeing Luca in theaters. How do you feel about this, my friend?
So, I'm really happy that these are getting re-released in the theaters because they deserve that recognition. They deserve that chance for them to shine in the big screen.
Right.
Because, you know, I feel like Pixar overall hasn't gotten... It's been getting some key, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, there's this notion that it's falling... That's failing. It's falling down. The quality, whatever.
They've lost their magic.
Exactly.
And I guess the point of this video here is to kind of like, because spoilers, we kind of agree here that Pixar they have a lot left in the tank. They still have tons of magic. They haven't changed. You have.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into it. We're going to spotlight those three movies. So those three movies are getting re-released. We're also going to talk about Elemental,
Which was released this year.
which was released
June 16.
Well, 2023.
Oh,
See,
yeah, my bad.
You're still a couple weeks behind.
I am.
So that came out in 2023. Got a full theatrical release, but even that movie it got good reviews, but it didn't get a lot of buzz.
So from what I remember, it started off really slow.
Yeah,
like it was having issues like getting any attraction from anyone, and then
it was like word of mouth,
or whatever. It did do better, and we want to disprove that. We want to show from these four recent projects how all of you who believe Pixar has fallen off are wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
And of course, if you disagree, we'll have a discussion in the comments. That's no issue at all.
Yeah, let us know why you think they fall off.
I think generally we're going to have a Pixar discussion very quickly, and then followed by that, we're going to then spotlight those three movies in that order.
Four.
Soul, I'm sorry, yeah, four. But we're going to spotlight Soul, Turning Red, and then Luca, and then followed by Elemental. So first of all, let's just talk about Pixar and its golden era.
Okay.
Now, obviously, everybody knows Pixar, and they started off hot with Toy Story.
Absolutely.
Followed by Bugs Life, Toy Story 2. I'm going out of order here, but now Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, Incredibles, all of that. And I won't...
Cars.
Cars is fine.
It has a big fan base, I feel, though.
If we're talking about money, Cars is...
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me. But I have my whole list right here.
I could see it from right here.
Oh, yeah. WALL-E, Ratatouille, Up. And I think all the way up to Toy Story 3 is the quote-unquote golden era of Pixar. Like, there was no misses at all.
Right.
Now, after that, we got into the sequel era. Now, there's this whole thing with Disney and Pixar and them, like, almost breaking up. And Disney was going to have like a new studio called Circle 7, I think it was called.
Somewhere around, yeah.
Yeah. And the point is, like, they wanted to make a bunch of sequels. Pixar didn't. But when they made up a deal and the marriage, they didn't divorce. They ended up staying together. The kids all stayed together. They ended up doing those sequels anyway, which is why we got Cars 2. We got Monsters University. We got Finding Dory. We got eventually Cars 3.
Cars 3.
So we entered that sequel era, and we got some things like Brave, Good Dinosaur, and right here I'm showing like Inside Out.
Inside Out.
That's another little era where I think they started not losing their magic, because I don't think they ever lost it. But I think these aren't projects that they were passionate about. So what do you think about this little era of sequels? Is there anything like stands out to you, or?
I think from what I remember, what stood out to me was the animation did get better.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like just in if I remember correctly, The Good Dinosaur was renowned for how they animated the water.
Yes.
Do you remember that? The water looks crazy.
I saw this one in theaters, and this one does feel like a step back from Pixar quality, but it always felt like a tech demo.
The story it hits, dude.
Some parts, to me.
Okay.
Like, I think it's a very okay to good story. It's fine. It just doesn't feel like it was like
the typical Pixar, like, oh wow,
exactly.
I feel this.
Like
I see. Yeah.
There's only one moment in that movie. Spoilers for whoever cares. In The Good Dinosaur, there's only one moment in it that I felt like this is Pixar,
right?
And it was. How well do you remember the movie? Pretty well.
Okay. I assume you're referencing the death of the parents.
Not even that.
No,
because parents die in Disney movies all the time.
Okay, then what part? Because I can't remember
it's
another
when
one.
Spike and what's the name of the main character?
I
Do
forgot.
you remember?
I forgot.
Well,
his
anyway,
name.
Spike is like the little human boy,
right?
When he's like telling the story, because he doesn't speak,
right?
So he's explaining with like the sticks, like what happened to his family.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
that night, and so when they bond, him and the little like long neck. That's when they bond, and like they're howling at the moon together. Like, that to me felt like, okay, that's the Pixar magic. But overall, it's a very predictable story, paint by numbers.
Right.
It is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just think that it's missing that Pixar magic. But back to what you were saying, the animation. I think that this was like their tech demo, where they're just like, "Hey, look how good our animation is now."
Like, we've gotten a lot better. And then, like, I could see from here, Brave is right there,
right?
And the same thing with her hair. That was crazy.
Yeah. So, like you're saying, the animation was definitely a step up. Story-wise, I mean, Finding Dory, it was good.
Yeah.
It wasn't Finding Nemo.
So, kind of to go off of what you're saying, the stories weren't the typical Pixar stories that we were used to from the 90s or like early 2000s. But they weren't bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. But when you go, like, look at like what they were coming off of. When you go to Toy Story, Bugs Life. I like Bugs Life. Some people shit on Bugs Life. I like it.
No, it's a good one.
Then you go Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3. And then you hit Cars 2 and the sequel era begins. Like, I get why that was a step back.
I think to a certain extent, people just dislike sequels. And
they're hard to get right because the first one is so good.
I get it. I understand. But oftentimes, these are made for the new generation.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people don't see that. And they're like, hey, don't ruin what I grew up with.
Right.
And it's like, dude, this isn't for you.
That's fair. But ultimately, I do think that these sequels, at least in Pixar,
right,
that they are a step back.
Okay.
Like, it feels like when Pixar makes a movie, what's Pixar good at, right? They're good at world building, at characters, and
the character development.
Yes, character development, like music, like all these. They're good.
They're very impactful. Yeah.
And I feel like they put so much into the one movie. They don't plan on a sequel. Like, they just put everything they have into it. Except for Toy Story. Toy Story sequels are fire. But besides, like, Monsters University. Have you seen that one?
I have.
And again, like, it's fine. It's all right.
Yeah, it is.
It's not Monsters, Inc.
It was, to me, it was just like, okay, like, I'm kind of glad that I saw how the relationship between Mike and
Sully,
you know, how that came to be.
And it's like a Revenge of the Nerds plot where, you know, like, I get it. I go there going for it, but it was very derivative. Like, it wasn't this unique, special. Like, I didn't tear up at all.
No, me neither.
I need to for a Pixar movie. I need to. By the way, in rewatching these movies, did you tear up on any of them?
We'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, okay. So now, very quickly, we'll start going into like what I think is like this newer era. But still, we're still in the sequel era. We got Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4.
Right.
Toy Story 4, I think, is great.
I think so too.
I do think it's the worst Toy Story, but that's not saying any. I still think it's 9 out of 10. It's just that the rest are all 10 out of 10. But rewatch, I actually did rewatch the ending of Toy Story 4 and seeing, again, spoilers for Toy Story 4, seeing Woody say goodbye to Buzz and the rest of the toys and like becoming.
That's a gang, dude.
It's
singing them apart.
I know.
It's so hard.
And,
so, real quick, I'm sorry, dude.
No, go ahead. We're just bouncing around.
What's your thoughts on that Toy Story 5? Do you know anything about it? Have you been...
There's no plot details. Right, it's just announced.
Mm-hmm.
It better be...
Well, there seems to be like theories thrown around and whatnot.
Oh, really?
What can happen.
What are they? Do you know anything?
So the one that I could remember, and the one that seems to be kind of prominent, obviously I'm just going based off what I've read and what I see people commenting. It seems to be like people that they're gonna reunite, I guess, with
Andy. It's gonna be like Andy's kid or something.
Yeah, it's something along those lines, and
okay,
I don't know. So there's debates whether it's just gonna be like we might not even see Woody anymore. It might just be Buzz and the rest of the gang. Or it might be the opposite.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather follow Woody and the new toys. Keanu Reeves as what's the guy? He was like a stunt man.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I forgot his name. I always see him as like Evel Knievel.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's not him though, right?
No, it's not. It's inspired off of him,
right?
Oh, I'm forgetting his name.
Me too. And he's so funny.
But then we also have Key and Peele as like the plushies. The little like rabbit and bear, I think, or whatever they are, 2 rabbits.
Right.
Then you have Bo Peep. But you asked me a question. You said, how do I feel about Toy Story 5? Toy Story 3 had the perfect ending. I'm not going to argue that. Mm. But to me, Toy Story 4 justified itself in like the first 10 minutes where you see like Woody and Bo Peep, like they're saying bye to each other, but he's all, Bo Peep is telling Woody, like, he's like, you can come with me. Like toys get lost all the time. And as soon as like she did that, like we have like that intro, I was just like, this is why Toy Story 4 is made. So Woody could say goodbye and do his own thing. Mm-hmm. So that felt justified.
Because that's his character in a way, right? Like that's Woody, and like that's the essence of Woody, of like doing his own thing, doing his own adventure.
Well, he's always taking care of his kid.
Right.
And in Toy Story 4, he finds out that the kid doesn't need him anymore. Maybe it's time to do something for you.
Right.
So that's what Toy Story 4 is all about. So what the hell is 5 going to be about?
It grips you so quick, too. Yeah. Like, just as you said, like the first 10 minutes, boom, you're hooked.
And again, going to the animation, which we're going to bring up like so many times in this video here. Toy Story 4's animation in the first like 5 minutes, like I'm saying, like when it's like raining and watching the water splash and everything and the reflections on all the toys, it's so good.
Yeah, it is.
It's not fair. So to me, I feel like that's where the sequel era ends. Now, in between, there are some things like Coco, which is incredible. Yeah, 10 out of 10. We'll eventually rank all the Pixar movies. We're not doing that today.
In another video.
Hopefully later, maybe this summer or something, because we're going to have to rewatch a lot of Pixar movies.
It's a lot of them.
We don't have to rewatch all of them.
I'm excited.
I need to. Like,
I want to, though.
Yeah. For the ones that I'm not too sure about, I already know what one is for me. I know what like is in the top 10, but I don't know exactly all of them, you know?
Right.
But anyway... So throughout this sequel era, we do get things. We already talked about the good dinosaur. Brave, we mentioned a little bit.
Brave.
Inside Out is incredible.
Right.
Again, I'm going back up.
Inside Out 2 is coming out this summer.
Yeah, Inside Out 2 is coming out. We'll talk later about what's coming. But yeah, we have Coco. And again, for people who think that Pixar fell off or that, you know, like they lost their magic, you're just wrong. Because look at Coco. If you don't like Coco, what's wrong with you?
There's one that I just want to mention so bad.
Well, we're going up,
and you know,
which I think I'm going to bring up next. So now we're going to talk about like this third era to me,
right?
Where I think that Pixar they're allowing their creatives to get creative. We're kind of seeing them like to get out of the Pixar animation. Like it still looks as great as any Pixar movie, but now they're being inspired by other animation or, you know, showing their own personality, you know, whether it's a director's choice or maybe that creative team's choice.
And you bring up a good point where, just as I just said, the animation holds up.
Yeah.
When you look at these like older Pixar movies, they still look good.
Absolutely. Now, even like Toy Story 1, their first one, it looks a little clunky and everything, but still, it has so much personality.
Yeah, it holds up. It looks nice. Like if you see like
I mean,
like
they do
Woody's eyes.
Yeah.
Like there's like a glare to it.
Oh yeah,
and
they do have a blinking problem. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
Where it's like, one eye blinks before the other. I don't know what is that?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I want to think they just did it because they're toys or something, or just like they're like rusty or something. I don't know.
So you think it was a creative choice?
I don't know.
It could have been. I doubt it, but it could have been. But anyway, so entering this new era, I think. All right, so we're gonna talk about Onward really quick.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna deep dive because we both love this movie.
I think we talked about it.
We've definitely talked about it before in our top 10 movies of all time because it was on your list.
It was on my list
for top 10 movies.
Had to be.
Now this one I think still looks like paint by numbers, Pixar animation.
Right.
But I bring this up because again, this is to me like this third era of Pixar. This movie is really good. This happened right before the pandemic. So it got a normal release, but pandemic happened like 2 weeks later. So
you're right.
I don't know where to go from here. I don't want to ask you your thoughts because I know you love this movie.
I love that movie.
Do you agree with me that is this the start of like this third era? Do you think like this is the beginning of a new chapter when you look at like all these movies?
If I remember correctly, they even had like a list of what, like if I remember correctly, back then 2019, maybe even 2018. I can't remember. It was around those years. They mentioned that they were gonna take a different approach to these movies moving forward, and I think the first movie was definitely Onward.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about it too. Like again, animation wise, like creativity, it does feel like Pixar to me. Like it doesn't feel like this is a different type of animation, nothing like that, or a different type of art style.
Right.
But this story, now I'll say this story, I think is very like the adventure itself doesn't feel like Pixar heights.
Right.
But the emotional beats that it hits throughout all of the movie, we've talked about this before. If you're a brother or a sibling, this movie hits hard.
Yep.
Incredibly
hard.
Yeah. So,
or even just someone that like has lost a parent, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely this movie hits hard.
So, excuse me. Once again, as every podcast, we're drinking. And the burps are kicking, baby. Okay, so now we're caught up into the movies we're going to talk about today.
Right.
So
the new era.
Next movie after Onward would be Soul, followed by Luca, followed by Turning Red. Now let's talk about...
I forgot about Buzz Lightyear.
I was about to say, let's talk about one more before we deep dive into the 4 movies we're going to talk about. Let's talk about one more. And it's Lightyear. Have you seen Lightyear?
Yes, I have.
Really?
I did.
I thought you were going to say no.
Absolutely.
What'd you think about it?
It's a Toy Story universe.
In a way.
In a way.
I mean, it's definitely... It wouldn't happen without Toy Story.
I liked it.
Me too.
I can't say I loved it.
Me too.
But I liked it.
It felt like Interstellar for kids.
Yes. Yes.
And and it was I think we won't spoil this one. I think that Lightyear is a very predictable story.
It is.
It's very paint by numbers, and that's okay.
Yeah, it is. And I think you have to remind yourself that this is the movie in Toy Story that inspired the actual toy.
And I know that might sound confusing to you guys. Say it one more time.
This is the movie in Toy Story that inspired the toy.
That we know as Buzz Lightyear. In Toy Story.
In Toy Story, exactly.
So this is a movie in the Toy Story universe.
So this is the movie where Andy was like, "Oh, Mom, I gotta go see this movie," and then it was such a big hit they made a toy out of the character.
That's what this is, and it looks gorgeous.
It does.
Beautiful.
It looks awesome.
But it's so like forgettable.
Yeah, it is.
And
like I said, I forgot that this came out.
And if we want to talk about the golden era of Pixar, where like they never missed, I think that is the best era. Now that we've covered all 3,
right?
But if we're entering this new era, and what we're saying is this new era has Onward, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Lightyear, and Elemental. If we have one dud in Lightyear, and again, I think it's all right. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's all right. So if we're talking about these 6 movies and only one of them is like okay, I think they're entering a new era. Maybe not a golden era, but like
they're entering strong.
And they're so creative. And the 4 movies we're going to spotlight today show that they're not afraid to push the boundaries of animation
or the storytelling.
And they're just as good as ever. These movies are still for kids and adults. These movies still make me emotional. These movies still hit hard. And
animation, by the way, isn't just for kids or children.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Animation isn't just for kids or children. Guillermo del Toro said it perfectly.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Was it when he was making Pinocchio?
Yes.
Of course. I haven't seen that.
I think he did say that moving forward, he is going to focus more on animation.
Wow, that's cool.
And real quick, Pinocchio, I really liked it.
You seen it?
Yeah, I seen it.
You recommend it?
I do.
So Pixar, let me ask you this before we move on. Okay. Then. Do you think that Pixar is still the king in animation?
Currently, yes. As it stands, I don't recall DreamWorks, putting out movies like this.
But even
there is hope.
They're stepping it up, man.
They are.
Puss in Boots was really good.
Puss in Boots was great as well.
Did you finally see it?
I really liked it.
It's so damn good.
Damn good. Yeah, it is.
Why did they make that movie about like depression and anxiety?
I don't know.
And conquering your fear.
I was with them and like the emotions. I was like, oh man, I felt anxious.
But then also Spider-Verse.
Oof.
And then you also have Illumination.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I just saw the migration movie, the Ducks one.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's really good. I'm not going to say it's great or you got to go see it. It's really good. It's sweet.
What's TMNT?
TMNT. I don't know.
I don't remember that one.
I don't know what studio it is. I can look it up for you very quickly.
Search it up real quick. Because that is a great movie.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it feels like, to me, I'm with you. I still feel like Pixar is king until somebody is consistently dropping these bangers. Like if Sony, the team, I think some of the team that made Spider-Verse made the Emoji movie. Like that movie's garbage. And then they made a movie they really wanted to, that they were, they can flex their creative wings, and they made Spider-Verse. And that changed the animation game. Like now we're seeing TMNT, we're seeing Puss in Boots, like all these people that are trying to make a similar animation. So to me,
we're getting a new Kung Fu Panda.
So to me, like Spider-Verse is probably more important to animation right now than like the last 5-10 Pixar movies have been.
Yeah, I think so too.
But if you're going to drop consistently like this, I think Pixar is still king, in my opinion.
I agree.
Okay, we're going to look up Mutant Mayhem, see who made them. I mean, we know Seth Rogen made it.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what...
It's distributed by Paramount.
Oh, it's Paramount. Okay.
But, I mean, it was distributed by them, but I don't know.
What's the studio?
That's what I'm trying to find out. We'll see if I can get it in a bit. But, so you do think that Pixar is still the king. They're still the champion.
Absolutely.
They got the heavyweight title.
Absolutely. And as of now, I don't see anyone taking their throne.
Okay, I can't find it. It's all right. We get the point. The point is Paramount makes it. They're going to get a sequel.
You're going to get a sequel. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think in terms of creativity, originality, animation, Pixar is still up there, man.
Absolutely.
Like, they are number one still.
Yeah.
Until proven otherwise. And it seems like they're entering a new golden era, which is a perfect time to transition into our 3 movies we're spotlighting today. Again, I'm sorry, 4. I keep saying 3.
I was about to say.
I keep saying 3 because because I didn't watch Elemental.
Well, you didn't finish it.
I didn't finish it. I started it today. A lot happened today. Sorry. But when we get to Elemental, you're going to spotlight it, and we'll discuss it. I'll have questions for you.
Right.
But the 3 that are being re-released, I think that's why I keep focusing on that number 3.
That was the whole pitch to you. Yeah. I was like, hey, man, let's make an episode on the re-released.
Yeah, this was your idea. You have great ideas.
Thank you. So do you, though.
Thank you. So transitioning into the 4 movies we're going to talk about. First, we're going to cover Soul. Again, it's being re-released. It got released today. What's today? January 12th? So as of January 12th, you can go watch this in theaters, but you don't need to watch this in theaters. Maybe this will help you be aware of these movies. Just go to Disney Plus if you want to watch it in the comfort of your home.
If you have it, yep.
If you have it, if not, rent it somewhere. It's 2024. Find it. Illegally stream it or something. I don't give a shit. I don't get paid off of this. Point is, watch these movies. They're still good. If you don't have kids, who cares? Watch them anyway. If you have kids, you're raising them wrong if you haven't watched these movies.
Hey, good point. If you have kids and you're not watching these Pixar movies with them, you're raising them wrong.
Throw the kid away.
Exactly.
Just start over. Anyway, so I've been talking a lot. Let me transition to you. We're going to start with Soul. My friend, did you rewatch Soul?
I did.
For this video?
I rewatched it, I think it was like a week and a half ago, probably.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. So what are your thoughts?
It holds up, man. Because I'm saying it holds up because I remember when it first came out, we both watched it and we briefly discussed it. This was back in 2020, right? 2020? Probably March or April. Can't remember when.
Pandemic times, baby.
Pandemic times, yeah. And
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Can you believe that shit?
That's crazy, yeah.
Anyway.
That movie, I don't know if it was because, well, let me start with saying this. When I first watched it, obviously the times we were living in were different. And it was at a time where I feel like I felt kind of hopeless. And I'm sure a lot of people did. So this movie just hit really hard. And I remember thinking, I wonder if it's just because of the times we were living in, where we were in the pandemic. We weren't sure what's going on and whatnot. We weren't sure how long we were going to be in the, what's it called? The,
what is it? Isolation?
In quarantine.
Quarantine, yeah.
And, you know, like, it was also at a time where, like, I was still in school and a lot of my friends had graduated and I was like, oh man, like what am I doing? Like, I'm still going to school and whatnot. So this movie is a lot of like, the main theme I feel is like purpose in life and like direction.
Right.
So it hit really hard. And I remember like I was tearing up. Like, I watched it with my siblings and my dad. And I just remember like, just like kind of tearing up a little bit. And I was like, man, like this is a good movie. It hit hard.
This kind of hits.
But then I watched it again recently, and it held up. I felt the same. It hit again. It's almost life changing because it's just like, you know, it's like hey, it's okay to feel lost. It's okay to, you know, not have that sense of direction. You just gotta push through and enjoy the little moments.
Smell the roses.
Smell the roses, exactly. So that's the gist of it.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what I have to say about this movie. What are your thoughts?
So I knew what I wanted to say right after I watched this movie, after I rewatched it. Same as you. I only watched it once.
Right.
And it's stuck with me since then. Because this movie, as same as you, I teared up. I was at a different point in my life too.
Right.
And in some ways it still feels that way.
Right.
Because again, this movie's about purpose. And I don't think I'm only a 28-year-old young man. But I don't think, at least I don't think that you ever lose that like,
oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah, that unless you don't give a shit about your life, but it never stops that feeling of I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing unless like you are achieving everything you've ever wanted to.
If you are, man, then props to you.
Good for you.
Jeez,
yeah,
that's hard.
But this movie does hit home, and what I wanted to say was, I think that this is the movie, the Pixar movie, that is not for kids. Kids could find enjoyment out of it, sure. This one was made for adults.
It does feel like
there's
that.
no way that kids care about their purpose in this world, unless maybe these smarter new like Gen A kids. Did you know we're in Gen A, by the way?
No, I did not know that.
Gen A.
That's why I was like, what is he saying? Gen A
is on the freaking internet. They're like 5 years old and shit.
Good Lord.
Maybe 6. I don't know.
Good Lord.
But anyway,
that's crazy.
Anyway, regardless, Gen Z, maybe these kids are smarter and are more worried about their purpose in this world and shit. But my point is, this is for the adults, man. And same with you. I teared up and I got emotional and it hit and it stuck with me. This movie, like almost in its entirety, stuck with me off of the first watch. When I watched it the second time, I remembered everything, but it hit just as hard the second time as well, and I teared up again.
Yeah, the conversation that he has with I forget her name, the artist, outside the jazz club. That conversation, I don't remember the exact lines, but I remember she was telling him something about something along the lines of like,
do you want me to help you out? Because I kind of got it.
Go for it.
Like, I forgot, but the point is, like, he wants to be a jazz musician, and he gets the chance of his life. That's the whole story. He finally gets back in his body, yada, yada, yada. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But he does the show. He kicks ass.
He does.
And then she says, like, all right, see you tomorrow. And then he's just like, I don't know. Like, I thought that this would feel different.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And then she tells him a story that said, like, oh, like, I heard a story about, like, a fish.
About fish in water.
Asked an older fish. Yeah.
With water.
That, like, oh, he can't wait to see the ocean.
Oh, that's right.
And that the older fish said, like, look around, like, you're in it. And then that the younger fish was like, this is just water. I want to see the ocean. And that's the end of the story. So again, a kid's not going to understand that. That's for an adult. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Surprisingly, I'm kind of shocked that I didn't remember, because I correlate that to a speech that this author named David Wallace said, and he starts with there's a young fish and an older fish, right? The young fish is swimming down the stream, and the older fish is swimming in the opposite direction. And the older fish tells the younger fish something along the lines of nice water today. And the young fish says, what the hell is water?
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but that just stuck with me, and it's
very similar.
It's a great speech. It's like half an hour long, but if you watch it, it's very rewarding about how, you know, we're each our own universe. You know, like nothing in the world everything revolves around each one of us, so we have to kind of keep that in mind.
We're all like the main character of our own story.
Anyway,
sorry,
kind of sidetracked.
I was listening to you, but I also wanted to pull up a text because last weekend when I saw this movie, you said, have you watched any of those Pixar movies yet? And I said, I saw Soul, and it changed my life again. So, man, this movie still hits, and I think this is going to be a timeless movie. To me, out of the 4 movies we're talking about, again, I didn't watch Elemental, so let me go back to 3. Out of the 3 movies that like I rewatched and the ones that we're spotlighting today, I think this is the best movie. It's not my favorite. I'll get into that later. But this is just... I think it did win the Oscar for Best Animated Picture. I think it did. But this movie is so incredible, and it really does hit the soul.
And the score too, jazz.
Man. Yeah.
Everything is jazz.
My favorite shot in here, in terms of like animation, like where it's like, oh my God, look at what Pixar's doing, is when they're in the jazz club and you see them playing, and you see like the lights reflecting off the back of the hair of that musician, the woman,
right,
while she's like singing and all that, and you see the light behind her. It's just like, oh my God, this looks incredible. And again, excuse me, burping again. We're drinking.
The part that I like is when I think he's finally back in his body, and he walks outside, and he's just taking in everything. And then there's the tree, right? And then like he's seeing everything. He finally notices like the leaves falling off the trees, and hearing everything.
What's the name of the little girl?
The one that kind of guides him?
Yeah, like the second main character.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember because I know she had a number.
Why are you bringing her up?
Because she was incredible too. Like,
okay. Yeah.
She's the soul.
She's the soul,
of this movie. 22. Oh, wow, it's played by Tina Fey. I didn't know that.
Me either.
But anyway, yeah, Jamie Foxx plays the main character, Joe Gardner. Gardner, my bad. Tina Fey plays 22. And 22 has never... you have to earn your way to Earth by getting like your purpose or like your badge. And she doesn't want to go.
Right.
So it's a simple story, man. Like, to me, just in general... as long, my general rule, I'm not a screenwriter, so don't shit on me. I don't know shit. But to me, I believe that if you make great characters, anybody will watch them do anything.
Right.
So you have two characters, and that's all you need for this beautiful story. You have 22, a little girl that doesn't know anything and is afraid to take that jump to try anything. Mm-hmm. And then you have Joe Gardner, who has been wasting his life trying to find his purpose and has not been living.
Right.
So you take one person who's afraid to try and one person who like doesn't know how to live and is trying to find their purpose. You mix them together and you bounce them off each other and you make this beautiful story about purpose.
It's brilliant.
What the hell, bro? It is brilliant. It's simple, but the execution is perfect. And the animation is beautiful and the story is great. Like, I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts before we move on?
Go watch it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you've seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, and if you don't cry, then either one, you already know.
You don't have a soul.
You don't have a soul. That's it. Moving on to the second movie. Let me get the date for this one. For those of you, for some reason, if you want to go to the theater to watch this, again, it's available right now on Disney Plus.
February 9th?
You got it? Oh, perfect. Yeah,
February 9th.
February 9th. The next movie that's coming out is Turning Red.
Go ahead.
Now, I rewatched Turning Red leading into this. You did not.
I did not.
We watched a little bit right before this recording.
Right.
And you looked very invested.
So, I have watched it, but this is, for some reason, I when I watched it, which is, I think, around the time that it had came out.
Right.
I don't think I was that invested in it for some reason, but I do remember like some parts, and I remember like the gist of it. But then there were some details that I did forget until right now. When you're like, you know what, let's just put it on while we get ready for the podcast.
Right.
And
I told you to skim through it,
and you told me to skim through it,
and you're right here just watching the movie.
And what I do, I just set down the remote control.
And you're just watching the movie. You're 20 minutes in just watching it.
And you're like, hey, man, I thought you were just going to skim through it.
We got to go. We got to record. But I'll take the lead on this one because I did rewatch it.
Yeah.
This movie, out of the ones we rewatched, is my favorite.
Yeah, and I had a feeling.
I would have said Soul beforehand. Mm-hmm. And again, I already gave Soul like 10 out of 10, dude.
Yeah.
That movie's incredible. But Turning Red is my favorite out of these. I think it just speaks to me more, being a teenage girl. No, I just think that
hormones raging,
and boy bands.
Boy bands, yeah.
I just think that this movie is so well realized and is a full, complete like thought.
It's what I kind of. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Was that it's a full cycle? Like it just goes around.
Cycle periods. I see what you did. I see what you did.
Okay. Go on.
Anyway, Turning Red, when it was announced, it like right away it was just like, oh, this girl when she feels emotions gets turned to a red panda. Right away, I was like, that's what's the word I'm looking for? Like not metaphor, but it's whatever. I'm just gonna use metaphor.
Okay.
It's a metaphor for a period. Like, this girl's getting her period. She's getting hormonal. Like, she's turning to this big red monster.
Oh, okay. She's growing up. Right. Becoming a woman.
Yeah,
okay.
When it was announced. Right. And that's exactly what this movie is. It's very, like, on the nose for, again, but this, Pixar's so good about this. Only adults would get that. Or maybe, like, young girls who are going through this would get that as well. But, like, I was talking to my nephew about this. Funnily enough, like a couple days ago, and he was just like, Turning Red sucks. I was like, dude, you don't even understand. Like, he's like 13, maybe 12. I don't know. Sorry, Brody.
Sorry, Brody.
But I was like, you don't even understand like what this movie is actually hitting on. So yes, it is about a girl getting her period, or it's like a metaphor for that. But that's like the first third of the movie. The second third of the movie is all about like generational trauma, which is crazy. Like
second and third.
Right. Yeah, like the meat of this movie is about generational trauma, about her trying to impress her mom and always trying to be good enough for her mom, getting her approval, and
struggling with that.
Yeah, but also trying to be her own person.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out later, like in the third act, that her mom felt the same way. So again,
with her mom,
with her mom. So it's like it is generational trauma.
It's a cycle. It's been going on.
And this movie is about her breaking that cycle. Cycle periods. Anyway, it's about her breaking that cycle and becoming her own person and making her own decisions. But on top of that, it's so well realized. Music is a huge factor in this movie,
right?
Because the whole point of this movie, or like the A plot of this movie, is about, or I guess maybe B plot, is about her and her friends going to see this band, and they're using
Four Town,
even though there's 5 of them, they call them Four Town.
They're the Four Towners.
The Four Towners. So the girls are all trying to raise money to get tickets to go watch this concert. And Mei, which is the main character, is using her panda to make money. So she's showing her panda to all her friends, and everybody loves the panda, but her mom is telling her to hide the panda. So, eventually she makes the decision to keep the panda and be her own person. And this movie turns into this like kaiju movie at the end. And again, music is a big element, and we get this cool third act where all the musical elements from her mom's side of the family,
her friends,
wah, sing, wah, wah, all of that, mixed with like the beatboxing of her friends, mixing with like the singing
of Four Town.
Of Four Town. All of it just comes together thematically in a funny way, like all like musically, like it all comes together on this cool third act. And it all just comes together perfectly. And I think it's so well realized. It's hilarious. All the girls have their own personality. I love this movie. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
I had to think about it. 9 out of 10.
It's so good.
What are your thoughts based off memory? Is there anything you want to hit on?
There's plenty I want to hit on, right? And it's just like, I feel like it's very relatable to a lot of people who are not only just trying to be perfect for the parents, but trying to live up to their expectations.
Right.
And,
that's the thing, is you don't have to be a girl to understand
No,
this.
you don't. And, like, I feel like a lot of Latinos, like including myself, there's that pressure from our parents, like, hey, like, we sacrifice a lot for you. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to be successful. Some are a little bit more, what's the word? They have more like a hard hand, like, oh, no, you must have good grades. You must be a doctor. You must be a lawyer, whatever. If you're in that situation, this is a very relatable story, because that's exactly what she's going through, where, she's trying to be the best person she could be, mostly for her mother. And that's a tremendous amount of pressure. And it's easy to see how in that process, or in that way of living, how you could lose sight, or not even like, or have a hard time figuring out who you are.
Finding yourself.
Which is what this is.
Yeah.
And
you see, and you nailed it. Like, you didn't even rewatch it, but you remember exactly what it's about, because she does have that line with her mom in here where, like, I'm trying to find myself, or I am discovering who I am, but I'm afraid that it's gonna push me further from you.
Right.
And her mom agrees. She's like, I think so too. But, as a mom, she has to let her kid go.
Yeah. And
as a young woman, she also has to make her own decisions and become her own woman.
Right.
Which her mom wasn't able to do. Now, again, we're going to get very spoilery. This movie is so beautiful in its shots, and we were rewatching it just right now.
Right.
The third act, her mom turns to a giant kaiju panda. They take her out, whatever, yada, yada, yada. They go into like this spiritual plane, almost like Black Panther and like the astral plane.
An astral plane, and it's like a beautiful bamboo forest.
It's a beautiful bamboo forest, and then she meets up with her mom in that astral plane, or whatever you want to call it. And she sees her mom as this little girl who's still holding on to that trauma of trying to be perfect for her mom.
And she's
feeling
it. She's going through the emotions.
Yeah, she's breaking down.
She's like, crying. Mom, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And she's like, no, it's just I've been trying so hard to be perfect for my mom.
Yeah.
And
she said, she said, I'm not good enough for her, and I'm not good enough for anyone.
For anyone, yeah. And then that's when Mimi was like, I understand what you're feeling.
Yeah. So to have that moment of her daughter being the one to get her out of that mindset and to pull her out of that like darkness.
I think
beautiful.
I think more so, I think in contrast to that is her realizing, it's kind of her subtly letting her know, like, hey, I feel the same way because you are putting me into the same situation as your mom did to you. And I think that was also really important for her letting go moments later when they have to cross back to release the red panda spirit. I don't know what they're called.
This a couple more notes on this movie.
Okay,
just like I'm just gonna free ball here now.
Go for it.
Just everything. I love how the four girls, so Mei Mei and all her friends. Every time, you didn't get to see a lot of it because most of this is in the middle of the movie. They all have their own personalities and they all do things differently. Like when they're laying down, they all lay down differently. Like the goth girl. I
can't remember that.
The goth girl lays down like a vampire, and then like they all have their own personalities. And they all interact with the world differently. Right. And it was a very subtle touch, but if anyone from Pixar is watching, I saw that. I saw what you guys did there with all that characterization. Every time they're doing something, they use their body and whether like how they lay down, how they sit, how they interact with the world. It's unique. A very subtle touch that I noticed, and I just wanted to shout that out. I forgot the rest. I forgot my other notes that I was going to bring up, but do you have anything else to say? Maybe it'll hit me again.
Just kind of going off what you were saying about the characters. I think my other favorite character is Abby. She's the shortest friend of them, and she has like the angry one. She's like always angry. She has like a strong, she's just a strong character, and she's always angry, but she's so funny. I think she's awesome.
I looked it up just right now, but in the credits it shows that Billie Eilish and Phineas wrote some songs. It looks like they wrote 3 songs for this, and it was for the fictional band Four Town, which is in here. So they wrote 3 songs,
which you mentioned. They're like, oh man, that song, it's kind of catchy. It's good.
I said, why does it hit so hard? But specifically at the end when they're mixing all the elements.
Yeah.
You have the wah, see, wah, wah. He had that.
You say it perfectly too. I don't know how.
I don't think so. I don't think I am.
It's close. It's close to me.
Wah, see, wah, wah. It's so good. But yeah, the music's great. The characters are great. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. Is that I love how anime inspired this movie is.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is like Pixar now in this newer era. I don't know what we want to call it. If we called the original era the golden era, then we had the sequel era. I don't know what we're calling this. Maybe the creativity era, because they just like allowed this creative team to just do whatever they want, and they chose like this anime inspired animation and just the reactions and stuff, but also like I want to say like, almost like Sailor Moon-esque like transformations with like all like the Theas and shit, like all of the family breaking all this, like when somebody's Naruto running. I mentioned that to you earlier. One of the ants is like doing the Naruto run, and they're taking all their like totems or whatever you want to call them and releasing their pandas, and like they're having transformations, and there's so many cool shots by the moon. Like it's so anime inspired, and I love that. Just shouts out.
It's very modern for sure.
Okay, are you satisfied?
I'm satisfied.
Okay, I've been yapping a lot, so I'm going to let you take the reins on this next one. Next movie. Again, getting a re-release. This one is coming out in March. Let me get the date. This one is coming out, Luca, March 22nd. But once again, it's on Disney Plus right now.
Mm-hmm. All of these are. Even Lightyear, which we're not talking about. We won't talk about Lightyear. I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead. Luca, what do you think?
Luca is another standout for me when it comes to the animation because it revolves around around water. And I know you're probably sick of hearing me say water and mentioning water.
But that's the thing. Like, even in video games, like, how do you know it's good?
Water is so hard to get in animation, in video games and just animation. It's so hard. And I think they did a great job in this one. And to an extent, it feels different from what they did with The Good Dinosaur. Like, it just looks different, but it's still really, really good.
Again, I don't mean to cut you off, but just very quickly, this also has a very unique art style.
Yeah, it does. But it doesn't feel like it's not Pixar as well.
Exactly. How are they doing this?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's like they're still operating in the Pixar bubble, but they're able to flex their muscles a little bit, right? Like,
right, exactly.
Spread their wings. I said a lot of different metaphors. but yeah, go ahead and continue.
So this movie is probably like one of my dad's favorites. Oh. And I say that a lot because, well, he puts it on a lot. Like, whenever he's just going to throw something on.
It's a comfort movie for
It's
him.
Luca. And I'm like, dude, you've seen this movie a lot. There's a lot of plenty, like, new movies you haven't seen. And he's like, well, I just like this one.
That's so funny because when Luca came out, I watched it like 5 times because it was that. It was a comfort movie. Yeah. Or, like, if I'm cooking and I just want something on, I'll throw on Luca. And it doesn't matter what scene it's on. I'll just sit down and watch after I'm done cooking.
After done cooking,
I'll just watch it.
Yeah.
So I had the same experience as your dad.
And it's awesome. Like, I don't dislike that because I'll sit down and watch it too.
Yeah. So
I've seen this movie twice, full from start to finish, and then like a few other times in parts. But again, like, it's such a good movie that you could sit down at whichever time of the movie and you're gonna enjoy it.
Time out. What is happening with this logo in the back, bro? This shit is stuttering.
How'd you notice that?
Because I saw it go tick, 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 tick. Like, it was like stuttering. Like,
I don't know.
Sorry, audio listeners. Something crazy is happening on the set. We're just gonna let it rock. Anyway.
Yeah, just let it.
Anyway, so what are your thoughts on this movie?
My thoughts is it has a lot of elements.
Yeah.
And I think one that aside from the main element or the main theme, I love the friendship aspect of this, where, you know, we have the younger character, Luca, and then we have the one that's a bit older, Alberto, right? So this is like it's an Italian inspired movie or characters, and there's also the girl who I just forgot her name.
Oh, I have it right here.
And I just had it right now, too.
Julia,
right? And it's interesting because these characters, they have a hard time fitting in, right?
All of them.
All of them do. So Alberto, he's kind of like an outcast, and might get into the exact detail later.
Let's just do it now.
So his dad either left him or died.
He abandoned
him, yeah.
And he's living on his own.
He's living on his own, and so he's just kind of alone. And then Luca, he's young, he's curious, he wants to experience some context that I just realized we should have added. So these are sea creatures,
sea monsters,
quote unquote monsters, right? Luca and Alberto are those sea monsters, quote unquote. And then
but they meet for the first time.
Yeah, they meet for the first time, but when they go out of water, they turn into humans. So when they come in contact with water, they turn back into the sea monsters. Julia, on the other hand, she's a full-on human.
Right. And let me just add a little bit more before you go.
Okay.
So they're kids, and a good thing, one of the compliments about this movie is the childlike wonder of just believing anything, just... The whole world is in front of you. The moon is a fish, and like all this.
Right.
You know, like, it's just about the childlike wonder and just believing all your thoughts, whatever. We get into like this whole plot about Luca going to the surface, so his parents want to send him deeper down sea, so that as a punishment, Luca runs away from home with Alberto, who is on land. Like, he does whatever he wants because he's abandoned. And while they're hanging out, Alberto's teaching Luca all these like bad habits, quote unquote bad habits. And the whole point of them and their movie, and this movie, like the A plot, is that they're trying to get a Vespa so they can drive wherever they want and around the world. Yeah. And that doesn't make sense for if you haven't seen this movie. Yeah. But if you have seen this movie.
So it's just the sense of wonder, right?
So they go to the mainland where they meet Julia.
They meet Julia.
And they're trying to get this Vespa to run away. Go ahead.
So, and I was going to get to that.
Sorry.
It's all right. So then, like, Alberto, he's this, like, he's trying to be Luca's person, as in like he can come to him for anything
because
like,
he knows everything.
He knows everything, right? He's the experienced one,
even though he knows nothing
and whatnot, and like just everything he's saying is he's just coming up with it, like it's just made up,
right?
So then, yes, as you said, Luca is this curious boy who wants to go explore the land, and he does. And by the way, the reason why their parents are so protective of him is because they're sea monsters to the human in this town, and that town is known for hunting them and killing them, right? So then they go and meet Julia, and Julia is this weird outcast girl.
She's from out of town, but she comes to visit her dad in the summers, and she always does the little like triathlon race, and she always throws up.
Yeah, so she doesn't have any friends. So the triathlon is obviously the swimming, biking, and then what's the third one?
Eating
contest.
You have to eat pasta.
So she's on her own. She's trying to do all of these by herself, and it's really hard. So finally, she meets friends who can help her. And all of this is going on while there's obviously some bullies who win it every year, and like the leader of the bully gang or whatever, I forget his name.
I'm trying to look at the IMDb, but there's so many Italian names, I don't know who it is. But anyway, yeah. So our antagonist is the bully who's racing,
and he's older too. By the way, like he's like in his late teens probably. Yeah, and so then finally, there's these two.
Sorry. He keeps lying about his age because he's too old to participate. He keeps lying about his age so he can keep racing.
And he keeps winning. So if you win the race, you get money. So the three of them are trying to win this race to be able to afford a Vespa.
I think Julia's trying to win to destroy the evil reign of whoever the hell bully. His name is.
But them two, Luca and Alberto, wanted to buy the Vespa and travel the world and learn and whatnot. So that's the friendship aspect of it, right?
Right.
But then there's the fitting in part, right? So then once Luca realizes that Julia knows a lot, she's very smart, she goes to school, Alberto feels threatened.
But see, we don't learn about Alberto and his dad until later. But we don't know why Alberto's being such an asshole, and he's being very protective of Luca.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out he wants to hold on to him because he doesn't have anybody, and he finally has somebody, and he feels like he's losing him to Julia.
Right.
So continue. Continue. I don't want to stop you. You're going on a great run right now.
Yeah. No. This movie's great, and again, I've seen it so many times.
Did you rewatch it or no?
This I didn't have to.
Damn. Yeah, because you were nailing this story. Right?
I did not have to. No. This one.
You're nailing it.
This is awesome. This is a fun movie. So yeah, they're trying to win the race to go on their adventures, and of course, this is Alberto's idea, right? He's like, "Hey, look, we can do this adventures." But then once Julia starts contradicting what Alberto has been teaching Luca, he feels threatened. He's like, "Hey, I don't want to lose Luca," so he's being very protective. And the part that hit the most is they're practicing for the race. And then I forgot exactly what happened, but Alberto falls in the water.
He purposely goes in the water.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because Luca's like very excited about school. Julia's saying like, "Oh yeah, you can go to school with me."
Oh, that's right.
And Luca's like down to go, and Alberto's saying like, "They're not, what
like,
happens
hey man,
if you
they won't accept you?"
They're not going to accept you.
Yeah.
And then like he starts being an asshole.
So then Luca's like, "No, Julia is not like this. She's different." So he's like, "Watch, I'll show you." And he goes in the water, turns into the monster. Yeah. Julia sees him, freaks out.
But Alberto is being an asshole. Like,
he
goes into the water on purpose, comes out like, and he tries to look scary.
Yeah. He definitely is.
Right, continue.
But he was expecting Luca to have his back. And what does Luca do?
Luca screams, "Sea monster!
Sea monster!"
And he betrays him. So Alberto is being an asshole in that moment, but Luca does betray him and leaves him
to defend himself.
Yeah, to defend himself so that he can so that Luca can have a better life. You know, he's just like, okay, I'm still human. And so in that moment, he was being very selfish, but it was very like spur of the moment because Alberto did cause it. So they're both in the wrong.
Yeah, no, I had definitely, but it's gut wrenching, right?
Yeah,
because it's just
it
like,
hurts.
damn, dude.
Because then the stupid bully and his friend start throwing spears at Alberto.
Yeah, they're trying to kill him.
Yeah, they're throwing spears
they're trying
at
to kill him.
And Alberto's kind of just like slowly walking back into the water, like he doesn't care. It's so messed up.
And I think the coolest thing is Julia's dad is this massive fisherman, a man.
His arm is missing.
He's missing an arm, and he's known in that village as the monster killer.
Right.
I can't remember the exact name, but he's known for that.
Right.
So he's like the top dog of the fishermen there, and he gets really attached to Alberto because obviously being the sea creatures, I'm calling that because they're not monsters.
Right.
They know the good spots for fishing. Her dad is a struggling fisherman, so he's having a hard time fishing and selling.
Out. You didn't rewatch this.
I did not rewatch this.
You are nailing this movie. I just rewatched it. I remember like little details like that. I thought I liked this movie. You like this like way more than I do.
So anyway, so he's struggling. So and then Alberto is helping them, and he's happy. He's like, yeah, like I'll go fishing with you, and I could help you fish and whatnot. So he gets really attached to him. Again, this is a guy who is the killer. He's the monster killer. Right. Then the actual race comes along, right? Let me talk a little bit about what happens in between. So then Luca, obviously, he realizes that what he did was wrong. He misses Alberto, and he goes to look for him at his little island.
He goes back to the island, and he finds him there, and Alberto's like really mad at him, obviously, because Luca just betrayed him.
Right.
And obviously, he's still mad about it, but Luca's like, you don't have to come, whatever. I'm going to win the race for us. I'm going to win that Vespa.
Right.
I'm going to fix this.
Yeah, exactly.
So go ahead.
So then I'll just get to the final race.
Yeah, because this is the part that gets me emotional. The third act gets me emotional.
I don't know why, but I just felt the need to talk about this whole movie.
No, I love it. I love the passion. Now here's the thing. Time out. I have to use the restroom.
Okay.
Do you think you keep going without me?
Sure, I can go.
All right. I'll be like 1 minute.
All right. So then we come down to the final race, and they're racing, they're finally working together as a team. And then in the final section of that race, they have to bike down, and they're biking down this hill, and it starts to rain. So obviously, as we said, with water, they turn into the sea creatures. And Luca gets very worried that that Alberto is gonna get caught as the sea monster. So again, he's doing this by himself. He's committed to winning this race by himself for them, so they can buy the Vespa and they can go on their adventure and just live life. So then he gets really worried, and what does he do? He stands up for him. He joins him in the race. And then they get down to the bottom of the hill where all the people are waiting for the finalists. They're pouring wet. They're wet, and they're monsters. So then the whole town is freaking out. They're saying, "Oh, it's the sea monsters. It's the sea creatures." And they're doomed. Like, you get that sense, that feeling that they're doomed, that they're gonna be either killed or just chased off, whatever. And the person that stands up to them, the first person that says, "You do not touch him," is Julia's dad. That part just hits so hard, where it's just like, wow, we dislike someone if we don't understand them. Because that's what it is. These people don't understand. They don't know the sea creatures. And obviously now that Julia's dad knows who the real Alberto and who the real Luca are, he knows that they're not actually monsters. So he steps up for them. And that part is just great because that's the part where there's other sea creatures living among them, and they step up
lesbians
into the water.
You didn't catch the lesbians?
I did, but I didn't mention it.
I'm sorry. You said other sea creatures are living among them. I thought that's what you meant.
Well, it's more than just them.
Well, it's them, and then it's the mom and dad, and then I think it's just them.
No, there's I think there's like 2 more.
I just saw it today.
You did not.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
They like remove like the little umbrella. They put it down.
Whatever. That's not the point.
The point being is that these creatures that have been misunderstood their whole life are finally understood, and all it took is one person to stand up for them,
which was the
dad, the fisherman, the sea killer, sea creature.
Now let me get in here. The scenes that get me emotional in this third act are 2. One, during the race, which is very entertaining, by the way. The whole time we're building up to the race.
One? The main race, or
the main race? Okay. Yeah. During the race, Alberto comes off the island with an umbrella while it's raining. You covered that?
No.
But did you cover that it started raining during the race? Okay, yeah. So it started raining during the race, and then Alberto comes back.
Right.
He's running with an umbrella, and he's telling Luca, like, I'm coming, whatever. Right. And then stupid, what's his name? I found out who the villain.
You found him?
Yeah, what's his stupid name?
Alberto's committed to winning the race. Like, he's like, we're winning this, man.
And he's about to.
Yeah, he is.
Hercule. This piece of shit.
Hercule.
Then goes ahead and then kicks Alberto down, and the umbrella flies, and then he turns into the sea monster because it's raining. And then Luca, who's hiding from the rain, is like gonna try to save Alberto, and then he's saying like, no, he's like, just stay there. And then Alberto tries to distract, and he's just like, I'm a monster or whatever. And then it goes into this like slow-mo scene with that beautiful song that's playing. And then Luca, who before betrayed Alberto to save his own ass, learns that like it's not about the Vespa. It's not about like this new life he's trying to have. It's about this friendship. The guy that pulled him out of the sea. It's about this bond that he built with this man, or this young boy, young boy. And he goes out to go save him because he's trapped in a net because stupid Hercule trapped him in a net. So then Luca's going, again, it's in slow motion. He's going and he's driving in the rain or riding the bike in the rain, and now the rain's hitting him. So now he's turning into he revealed himself as a sea monster, and he's going to like reach after Alberto. And so again, in slow motion, the song's playing. He gets to his boy, and then he grabs him. Whatever, they get on the bike, and he's like, "All right, we got to get back to the water." And it's just so good how it plays out because right there, that's the lesson learned. Right, he gets his boy, and the stupid piece of shit is trying to still kill them. It's not even about the race anymore. Now he's trying to hunt them down, and like you said, it ends up that Julia's dad stands up for them, and turns out they're accepted. Yeah. And all it took
I left some of those details out.
Yeah.
I was hoping they'd just go watch it, but I'm kind of glad that you brought them up because it adds more excitement.
If you stuck this long, then
might as well, huh?
Either you don't care about spoilers, or maybe the spoilers will then sell you to watch it.
Right. But no, it's great. It's just finally being accepted.
Right.
And then the like I said, the person who does it first is the man known to hunt them down. Right.
And he knows, like earlier in the movie, Luca comes back, and Luca and Julia are just like, oh yeah, Alberto like he left, and then the dad.
Oh, I forgot to mention that part. You're right.
I'm forgetting his name, but yeah, the big dad. He's just like, oh, like where did he go? And then they're like, I don't know, but he doesn't want to be found. And he gets like his coat, and he's just like, well, just to be sure, like I'm gonna go look for him.
And he goes look for him. I forgot about it. I forgot to mention that part.
And he goes to look for him. He doesn't find him, but he goes out to look for him because like he has a bond with Alberto now. Yeah. Because I think he knows that these boys are in trouble. Like they have a place to stay here.
He senses something.
And on top of that, at the end of the movie, Alberto stays with him because this they don't cover too much, but Alberto needs a dad, and he has a father figure in Julia's dad. Julia and Luca go to school. And that last scene where like Alberto sells the Vespa, the whole point of the movie, he sells the Vespa to get him a ticket and convince Luca's parents
to let him go
to school
with Julia.
Yeah. And that last scene again, the music, they have like one good song in here. They keep playing the same song over and over.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And Luca's saying bye to Alberto, and I didn't give my thoughts, so I let you go off.
Go for it.
But I'll just give my quick thoughts. I think this movie is very good. I think the plot is it's good. It's okay. It's serviceable.
Right.
But I think the relationship, as you covered in the beginning, which is why I just let you go off, the relationship between Luca and Alberto is so good, and that's what carries the movie. That the plot's okay.
Yeah.
The relationship between them is beautiful.
And that's the thing. It's built in the relationship between them, right? Where it's during that relationship with each other and that strong bond that they find themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's a beautiful coming of age story, and accepting yourself, and like, even though the world might not like you, well, some people will. And that's what they mention in the third act. Like at the end of all of it, is because the grandma, she keeps coming. Yeah, she keeps going to the mainland.
She knows.
Yeah, she covers for him earlier in the movie, like whatever. Point is, the mom asked the grandma like how can we let him go when like the world won't accept him? And then the grandma says like some people won't accept him, but some people will, and he's very good at finding the good ones. Like that's like the theme of the movie. It's like you got to find the good ones. And
being yourself is how you find them.
Yeah, and being yourself. So at the end of the movie, Alberto, as we mentioned, gets him the ticket, gets permission from his parents. He sends him on his way. And then like Luca's saying like, I can't go without you. And then Alberto says like, you already saved me. Like you got me off the island. And like they hug and like they're crying.
It's very emotional.
Yeah, it's very emotional. And like they're crying, like just like a teardrop comes down the face. They're not like sobbing. They're crying. And then Luca gets on the train. And then as he's going away on the train, Alberto's like, he's hype. He's popping off. He's just like, yeah, Luca, let's fucking go.
He runs with the train for a little bit.
Yeah, and he's just like cheering, like go Luca, like you got this, like cheering him on. Even though he's sad, he's cheering him on because he knows his boy is gonna have a better life. He's gonna do what he wants to do. And then Luca is going through the tunnel and he's crying, and the song is playing, like the sounds are getting higher, and the rain is falling again.
Yeah, it's raining. But
the sun's out. But like the rain is on him as like he's on the train, and like he's turning to the sea monster or sea creature again, because he's not a monster anymore, and he's on the train like about to like live his best life, and it's so good. Such a good ending.
Yeah, it is.
Tears on all three of these movies.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. Like it's a bittersweet moment, right? Because like we want them to stay together in a sense, right? They're like, like, they're best friends. They shouldn't be apart, but they're both doing what they need to be doing.
Right.
One has his father figure who's going to be helping the fisherman.
Right. And
the other one is going to go and learn, which is what he wants.
And explore the world.
Because he's a naturally curious person.
They're going to kill him. They're going to kill him in America or wherever they're going.
It's in Italy. I'm sure they'll be fine.
In Italy, they're going to experiment on him.
Uh-huh.
All right. You did a lot of the heavy lifting on this one. And you know what sucks for you?
I have to do it again.
You got to do it again for Elemental.
I gotta do it again.
All right. Is there anything else you want to cover in Luca?
No, I think that's the gist.
I think last thing I'll say is that this, I mentioned it earlier, but this is a comfort movie for me.
Yeah, it is.
Silencio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno
has been one of my lines in my head.
In your head.
Yeah, where you got to like tell your mind, your self-conscious to shut up sometimes.
Silencio
Bruno. But yeah, this is a great movie. Here's what I'm going to say. It's a good movie with great characters.
Absolutely.
I would probably give this an 8 out of 10.
Mm.
Again, if we're being critical. Now that we've talked about all three of the ones that I rewatched and have seen, if I had to rank them by favorites, after this rewatch, I'm going to say Turning Red 1, Luca 2,
wow,
Soul 3.
Luca 2.
If we're talking about favorites. Before, if you would have asked me like a week ago, I would have said Luca 1.
Really?
Yeah, I really fuck with Luca. But but apparently you do more than me, so that's why I
thought you did more.
No. Well, we're both wrong. But anyway, if we're talking about best, like if I had to give like, if I wanted to be respected and give like the Oscar, the Gaby.
Okay, the Gaby.
I would say in terms of the best movie, I would say Soul 1, Turning Red 2, Luca 3.
Mm-hmm.
Again, favorite, Turning Red, Luca, Soul.
And it's crazy because Soul's a heavy hitter.
That's what I'm saying. again, if I had to do best, if you wanted the
and
award,
Pixar is falling off.
Who said Pixar's
And
falling off?
Pixar is falling off.
All right, last one.
Elemental.
Now this one was
Elemental. Elemental.
Let's just cancel it. Elemental. Now this one I was supposed to rewatch.
You started watching it.
I was supposed to watch for the first time.
I thought you said you started watching it.
I did. I saw the first 30 minutes.
Let me get you going a little bit. What do you recall, and what were your what's your thought of where it's going?
So obviously this movie is about mixed relationships. It's I'm trying to find something deeper than that, but only being 30 minutes in, I'm barely starting the plot, and
I don't know, man. There's a lot of hints.
Does it go deepper than that?
I feel like there's a lot of hints early on.
For me, it's definitely about,
at least at that point,
mixed relationships, and honestly, you see, again, I'm trying to find something. I'm trying to pull something, but based off trailers and then based off the first third, that's all I have so far.
Just from the beginning, you should get one big theme, in my opinion.
Okay.
Which is the disparity and the...
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, because the fire people are in the broke-ass side of town.
They're in the slums.
Yeah, because the world wasn't built the city wasn't built with the fire people in mind. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's so the fire people are kind of like the poor.
It's yeah, exactly. They're the people of color. Yeah. No,
you're absolutely right. I did catch on that while I was watching it, but I didn't get to see that theme explored because
oh man,
I only saw the setup.
It goes even deeper.
Okay,
in my opinion. So, are you prepared for these spoilers?
So, no. Don't spoil it. Just review it. So give me themes, give me ideas, give me your thoughts.
Okay, so. As I mentioned already, there's that disparity of there's the rich side and then there's the poor side, and just about everyone in the poor and the slums in the poor side of the city, it's the fire people. Excuse me, with the exception of a few outliers as well, right? Which is I forgot the name of these people, but I want to say they're Earth or wood. Wood.
Let's say Earth.
Earth. I think Earth is better. And then the wealthy people are the water people, right? They're the ones that live in these big skyscrapers
because they were the first
and
ones,
whatnot.
right?
They were the first ones to establish them. And one of our protagonists, her name's Ember, right? And her family was kind of just forced to move, they didn't want to, but they were forced to. And that's just hints of the immigrants these days.
Right.
And I think that's the reason why it
they had
hit so hard.
They had to run away from their
country. They have to leave their country. They have to go, and they don't want to, but they have to provide a better life for their children. And this is what the movie is about, in my opinion. Just exploring the differences between both of these people and these two cities. So then, Amber has problems. I think you saw this part.
She has anger issues.
She has anger issues, right? And that stems from the root issues that she gets from her family. And I won't say much because you haven't seen it.
I do know that you're not supposed to turn purple. And she's getting very close to turning purple.
That didn't have as much of a meaning as I thought it was going to have.
Okay.
But anyway, it's this emotional roller coaster as it explores what I feel a lot of immigrant people would probably experience or do experience now in their current lives, where there's that notion that you can't mix with others.
Right.
There
was a funny bit in the first third that the grandma's dying wish was that she married another fire person.
Yeah. And then there's the dad, and I'm sure you saw this. The dad just hates water people.
Yeah.
Where he's no, the water people are bad, and
right,
and whatnot. So it explores all these themes of
freaking Pixar, man. Mixed relationships and racism and segregation.
It's crazy, man. It's so good.
Maybe not segregation, but
the way they go about it is like very subtle. Like
right. Well, if you're an adult, I think it's on the nose. If you're a kid, it'll go over your head.
Well, I'm saying it's very subtle because there's the other theme, which is I don't want to say it.
Okay, if it's a spoiler, you could say it. You say it.
It's love,
right?
And I'm sure you know enough about movies and whatnot to know what's going to happen with these two characters. Right. I think they even hinted at on the trailer.
Not so much. Yeah, in the trailer, yes. Yeah. So, I kind of figured it was going that way.
So it shows that because they're people are from have different backgrounds, that doesn't mean that they can't be together. And it really explores those themes, and it's so good. Without giving more spoilers or saying much about the characters and the story, it's very satisfying at the end, because it really feels at one point where it's just like it's not gonna happen, where the thing that they're hinting at is just impossible. Okay. And then it still happens. But there's one scene that I can't say that nearly brought me to tears. Really? Where I was like, oh no, I can't believe this is happening.
Where I'm at right now, I can't believe we'll get to the point where tears come out.
It doesn't feel like it, I know.
But I can imagine, as the story evolves, we'll get there.
You stopped at a point where it goes straight still building, up. It just builds up really fast.
To go back off what you're saying about the slums and all that, the dad, when some of the water teenagers come in, it's just like, oh, watch them. I was like, oh shit, like this is some racist shit right now. Him, Or it's for example, sorry guys if this is too mature for you, but for example, you'll see in movies or just in real life,
right?
Some kids of color, whether it be black, brown, whatever, will go into a convenience store and some teenager that's just like, oh, keep an eye on them.
Here they kind of flip it though, because it's the underrepresented people, the fire people,
right,
who's like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that theme is touched.
Yeah. No.
And again, if you're a kid, you don't get that,
and it goes further down too.
Really?
It goes further with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably why the word of mouth was so good, because probably people are just because when I saw the trailer, I was just like, they don't care about this movie. They're not promoting it.
And
the animation looks kind of weird, and
so that's what I was going to bring up.
Okay,
I was like, we've been talking about the animation, and it's the same thing. It's different. It's not what we're used to, but it still feels like Pixar.
So to me, I'm not there yet. For my first,
you don't think so?
For the first third, I'm sure after I finish it, I'll be like, okay.
There's one moment where you're going to be like, oh, this is beautiful. this is an awesome scene.
I'll tell you what, my favorite thing about this movie so far in the first act has been the creativity.
We're going to finish watching it right now, people.
Live reaction has been the creativity of all the stuff, the fire people and what they do, how they make the food and all, how you have to eat wood to get bigger. The creativity of Pixar to make every type of character unique. It's there, man.
One thing that I liked, and kind of on that same note, something that I disliked, what I liked a lot is that they showed a little bit about the culture of the fire people.
Yeah.
That's a very rich culture.
Do you see more throughout the movie?
That's what I was getting at. What I don't like is that we don't see that more with the other people.
Okay, yeah.
Elemental
too, baby.
Yeah, we do get to see a little bit of how they interact, the water people interact with themselves. So we do get to see that, but not much of their culture. And maybe it is that way. Maybe they're like the white people, where they're just there's that notion that they don't have a culture, that they're just kind of just
okay. Look at you getting all deep with
this. But then you see Latinos or black people.
I like
people of color.
How punny it is too, with the names, and you had the little tree or the little earth kid.
Oh yeah,
he's just I'm a man now. He has a little flower, a little flower underneath. It's funny. It's cute. I'm definitely gonna finish it, even beyond this podcast. I'm gonna finish it. I'll let you know what I think about it.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to touch on this one?
No, just go watch it. Like I wish you would have seen it.
Yeah.
So
Me
I could
too, man. I ran out of time.
So I could have like literally like
we could deep dive.
Took like a deep dive because there's a lot of things that I think we could mention.
So let's go.
And I'm sure you're gonna have your own opinions.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's like the one thing I'm good at. Is having an opinion, and I'll share it like without your permission.
Okay.
But what I was gonna ask you is now. So I haven't seen this movie at all. You have seen all four of these. I have seen all four of them. So what are your rankings for favorites and then best? Give me favorites first, the fun one.
4 favorites.
Just so I can gauge where Elemental
It's going to be Luca.
Oh, okay.
Elemental.
No, that high?
Soul.
Okay.
And Turning Red.
Okay.
Those are my favorites.
Now for best.
For best?
For the Misael. Misaels. Who are you giving the award to for best?
To me, it's going to be Soul.
Okay. So we're on the same page.
Followed by... I'm still going to have to go Luca.
Okay.
Elemental and then Turning Red.
Interesting. I feel like, because you were so interested in Turning Red before we started, I feel like if you rewatched it, it might go up a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
But again, like this just shows how strong Pixar still is.
Yeah. So
where do you put Onward?
Don't even like that shouldn't even be asked. Onward for me,
the same era.
Onward for me is top. I think it's even higher than Soul.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna have to take Soul's position as number 1. Onward is just so good, man.
I think it's so relatable to us. I don't think it's relatable to everybody, but
no. So I'm going to share this. I watched it with my siblings, and I remember just like in some scenes where it gets like very emotional, and I remember just like looking at them, and I'm like, damn, like I freaking love these motherfuckers, you know?
Nice.
And then like we get to the sad part where, at the end, should I just say it?
Spoilers for Onward. You got 3 seconds to get out or fast forward. 3, 2, 1.
So the scene where they have to choose, all right, we have a few seconds. We have to decide who talks to Dad. You or me. I got the chills, dude. I got the chills.
Yeah, that movie has a perfect ending.
And I forget their names.
I can pull them up.
Pull them up real quick.
You go ahead, continue, and I'll pull up the names.
So they have a few seconds. So there's this. It's a magical world, right? So then they have this spell using a gem. So they have their dad for a few seconds.
Ian, the younger one.
Ian is the younger one.
Barley is
the older one. So Barley, he got to meet their dad. He lived with him around for a couple of years. And then the dad got sick and he passed away. But his dad was this lover of like fantasy and magic. And by the way, this is a magical world.
Right.
But it's long since been forgotten, right? Magic. But then there's these kids, Ian and Barley, who still have hopes of seeing their dad one last time. And they do get to do that. However, for another reason or another, something goes wrong, and by the end of the movie, they only have a few seconds to talk to their dad. However, while this is happening, they're being attacked by a dragon.
created out of concrete.
Created out of concrete. Like it's crazy. So they have to decide who gets to go see Dad one last time. By the way, Ian,
Barley is trapped. Like the dragon's defeated, but Barley is trapped around all this like rubble.
Ian,
and Barley's the older one, no?
Barley isn't trapped.
Yeah,
it's Ian.
Barley's the older one, Chris Pratt.
Yeah. But it's Ian the one that's trapped.
Oh, you're freaking right.
Ian's the one that's trapped.
Right. Because
But this was after they decided who goes to talk to Dad.
Yeah.
Right? To their dad.
Do you want me to spoil it now?
Yeah, go for it. Why not?
Okay. because Ian realized throughout the movie that he always had a dad.
I was heading there, you motherfucker. So Ian has a notebook, right, of a list of things he wants to do with his dad, which he never got to do. He never got to meet Dad. He got to meet him from what his brother and his mom told him, right? So he has this list, and it's very basic. Talk about life, go for a walk,
play catch,
like that, and whatnot.
Dance.
I'm getting chills again, dude.
I'm gonna cry right now.
He realizes, right, when all this is going down, they're fighting the dragon. They know they only have a few minutes left with their dad. He realizes, he's like, damn, I've had all of this all along with this brother.
It's so beautiful. Because he slowly, like, he just got into a fight with his brother.
Yeah.
Saying, like, I'm never going to see Dad now because of you. He goes off to his own. He looks at the notebook, resentment. The song's playing. And then he's, like, slowly realizing, and he's crossing things off his list. He's like, I did this with Barley. I did this. Like, oh,
and
shit.
There's flashbacks of them doing that.
He's like, the whole time I've had a father figure in my older brother.
Dude, I was in tears. I was in tears. Like, my brothers are right here next to me, and we're all quiet. We're all serious, and I'm just like, damn, dude, that hit so hard.
So, yeah, Ian is trapped in the rubble. Barley gets that moment with his dad to say bye, and it's like 30 seconds that he gets to say bye to his dad. And the way that it's shot and filmed is that we get to see it from Ian's perspective, so we don't know what Barley said to his dad. That's a private moment.
That's private.
They get to say goodbye, and we get to be Ian.
Like, and Ian, by the way, he's desperately trying to see his dad from a hole in between or under rubble. The rubble, so we could see him. Like, he's just trying to see his dad, and even then, he doesn't see his face.
Right? Yeah.
He just sees, like, his body. Gosh, did this freaking movie?
That's the thing, is like even the movies where Pixar is like either okay or maybe people would think like, that was fine. Their endings are so good. Like, which is the hardest part of telling a story.
Anyone talk shit about this movie, bro?
Kiss my ass.
Kiss my ass. It's crazy.
Right. So we covered even more movies than the 4 that we really wanted to. This new era of Pixar is fire. They still have the magic. They're getting more creative than ever. Pixar hasn't changed. You have. I'll probably call it that.
Your opinions about Pixar, if they're negative, are wrong.
Absolutely. Like, it's not up for debate. Sorry.
Exactly.
But if you do have a different opinion, go ahead and voice it. We don't mind.
Try it.
Damn, that sounds aggressive.
Try to change our opinions.
Anyway, last thing we'll do, and then we'll get out of here.
Sounds good.
It feels later than it is. It's not today. Oh, I only have 1% left on my computer here. Okay, very quickly. I'm not going to read the description because I've been drinking and I'm going to slur all of these words.
Okay, go for it.
So very quickly, this summer, we're getting one Pixar movie for the year.
Right.
In Inside Out 2.
2.
I mentioned it on my top 10 most anticipated movies. I think I called it top 10 movies you should watch in 2024. Go check it out if you want more details. But Inside Out 2 is going to introduce 3 new emotions. Riley is getting older. She has more complicated emotions.
Right.
One of them is boredom. One of them is anxiety. I forgot the third one. Point is, that should be fun. Now, it's not directed by Pete Docter, who directed the first one. Excuse me. He also directed Monsters, Inc., Up, and obviously the first Inside Out. So like he's hit all of those movies. So I'm a little worried that maybe the team that made the first one isn't going to be there for the second. But again, Pixar's a big studio, so I don't know. Maybe they'll hit it.
These are some complicated emotions. So
yeah, we're getting there. And imagine if we get to the point where Riley's an adult and we're dealing with some like real serious emotions.
I mean, I feel like that's where they're going.
I feel like that's Soul. Also, Pete Docter made Soul.
Oh, he did.
We already got Inside Out 3.
My goodness.
And coming up next year, the only thing we have slated is a movie called Elio. And you know what? Let me take a crack at reading this. Go for it. You ready? Okay. This is coming out 2025, so sorry if you guys forget this plot by then. My bad. Anyway, for centuries, people have called out to the universe looking for ants. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, I remember reading about this.
I brought out my glasses for this reason. Give me a second.
Why don't you wear them now?
Well, I'm gonna.
Well, why don't you already have them on?
because I wasn't reading it. Anyway.
His reading glasses. The old man. He's 28 years young.
For centuries, people have called out to the universe looking for answers. In Disney and Pixar's all-new movie Elio, the universe calls back. The original feature film introduces Elio, an underdog with an active imagination who finds himself inadvertently beamed up to the communiverse. And, oh god damn, the big words that Pixar uses. An interplanetary organization with representatives from galaxies far and wide, mistakenly identified as Earth's ambassador to the rest of the universe, and completely unprepared for that kind of pressure. Elio must form new bonds with eccentric alien life forms, survive a series of formidable trials, and somehow discover who he truly is meant to be.
I'm sold.
That sounds cool.
I'm sold.
So that's 2025. Space? Yeah, space.
I'm sold.
Pixar, he's a representative of Earth, but he's not really trying to be. I'm in.
Exactly.
That sounds unique. Hopefully he has a cool art style like how these new ones have been. Even Inside Out.
Hopefully we get to see a lot of space.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Inside Out, like their art style and like how like the emotions like kind of glow. Like they kind of look like furry. Not furry, but they kind of look like I don't know. They look like plushy, you know, like plushy teddy bears,
right?
But they also glow. It's weird, unique. You know, it's a unique art style,
right?
So anyway, Inside Out 2 is coming out this year. I'm very excited for it. Hopefully, it's just as good as the first. Any last thoughts on Pixar and where we're going with them?
I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited to see more, and it's not falling off. I really think that it might get better. And I hope in this.
Yeah.
Right. I think they're starting to realize that their audience is much broader than just children.
And that's the thing is like they do know that. They've been making these movies for that.
So these stories are getting more mature while still being appealing to children.
Right.
Right.
Like if you're not old enough, it's a fun kids movie. If you are old enough, you're probably going to cry and have an existential crisis.
Yeah, I've had a few of those already.
Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts? You're good?
No, just leave your comments, your thoughts. If you disagree with us, tell us why. And thanks for watching.
And if you made it this far, that means you had a good time here. Please like, subscribe, and share. Most importantly, subscribe. Our new goal now is 125 subscribers. That's what I'm pushing for. So, again, if you liked what you've seen here, subscribe. Subscribe.
And subscribe.
And subscribe. And until next time,
we'll see you then.
Peace out.